Hello, and welcome to RauschGames here on YouTube. This is time for video number 100. That's ciento para mis amigos de España y Mexico. 100 videos uploaded to YouTube since May, when the hell ever, and today, January 17th, 2014, Friday. Almost my weekend. I've got 2 more days to get through. And as promised, this is going to be a Q&A vlog for video number 100. Over the past week, I've been asking you guys to accumulate some questions for me. And while there were a few of you that were certainly overachievers, NLG360 and Mr. Respawn, I got a total of, where are we on my list here? 14 unique questions. There are a few that 2 people asked simultaneously or similarly, so there are a few where I'm going to have a couple of names that ask them, and I don't know, I'm just going to get right into it. If I'm not looking right at the camera, it's because I have the list on my computer, and I'm just, what am I going to do next? So I'm going to start with the lighter, easier fare first, and move into some of the heavier hitting answers that I have, and I'm just going to get rid of them as I go along. I am going to start off with a question from my subscriber, KJ Buchanan, who, if you don't subscribe to him on YouTube already, you should. He's working really hard on getting his own universe mode off the ground, and he just does a lot of, in general, wrestling videos. He's got his own little, Raw reviews, and he's got breaking news and things like that, and he could really use a little help. Go over, let him know what you like, what you think he could be working on. He's looking for feedback from people right now, and the only way to get that on YouTube is to build an audience, so he deserves more views than he gets. I'm officially on antibiotics, by the way, to clear out whatever the hell is going on in the lung area here, so hopefully soon, because I'm tired of wheezing, and I'm tired of not being able to speak to people for more than 3 seconds without coughing up a little alien monster thing at them. But anyway, KJ's question: what are your top 5 overrated wrestlers in history? I knew something like this was going to happen, and I'm glad I'm picking this one first, because this is going to be a theme throughout this Q&A vlog. I can never just pick one thing out of the millions that I've seen and experienced and whatever throughout my lifetime to say is the best or the worst. I'm usually really bad at just picking one thing. I don't like superlatives, everything has value to me. So this happens to be at work a lot, where I'll have somebody come in and sit down and point at the menu and say, you know what do you think's best? I'm like, oh, what? There are so many questions that go into that. I have to know what you usually eat, what you usually drink, what you're allergic to, what do you feel like today, what kind of the weather is it today? Never ask me what I think is best, but this is going to happen a lot today, so get ready for a lot of hedging and so whatever. So top 5 overrated wrestlers in history. I could come up with 3 off the top of my head that I just don't think earned the pops that they've gotten throughout history. Ultimate Warrior is honestly my number 1. If you liked him growing up, sorry. A lot of you should be a bit too young, a lot of my subscribers. But for those that are more around my age and even older, I never liked him. When I was a kid, I never bought into his persona. I hated his promos, and everyone, it was so intense. Yeah, even when I was 5 years old, I knew they made no sense whatsoever. And it's just, I don't know, I was never into like the brightly colored guy. I wanted the Undertaker, I wanted the dark. That's just the kind of personality I had apparently when I was 5. But then growing up and learning more about what it was like behind the scenes with Ultimate Warrior at the time, and how he just seemed to be the guy that like didn't know how to wrestle. And you can say what you want about a few of the interviews that they've had with people from WWE about Ultimate Warrior, how there might be a little bit of bias there, but I've seen the evidence in the ring. He was a superhuman at the time, but he was just someone that I thought should have been like a mid-carder at best. If you put him on today's roster, somebody that just like mumbles incoherently about aliens and crap, how does he main event? So he's my number 1, and I have no problem saying that. Goldberg's another one, and when I was a kid, he was my favorite ever, but that's because he won everything, and that was when I still believed that, they were actually competing in the ring and the decisions weren't pre-prescribed. And like, I don't know, now that I look back on it, he had the streak. Well, of course he did, because booking gave him the streak, because they wanted to build this unhuman figure out of the kind of barren WCW locker room at the time to take on the powerhouse of the NWO, because they had written themselves into a corner, turning half the roster into this giant stable, which was kind of fun and unique, but at the same time, who could fight them? What made the story real if there wasn't anyone that could actually take them on? Nobody would watch if the bad guys literally just owned everything and said game over. There had to be somebody that could take them down, and WCW had to create the legend of Goldberg. But in the ring, you know, he had some pretty high-powered moves, but he was a football player that still wasn't really transitioning into a wrestler. He's another guy that, I don't know, I would not have elevated as highly. I think that he's a good personality, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not saying that these guys should not have been wrestlers. The question is, are they overrated? And for the level at which they performed, both Goldberg and Ultimate Warrior in their respective companies were main eventers for a substantial amount of time, I think they were overrated to hit that level. They should have been upper mid-card at best, in my opinion. Woo! Let me get some of my hot beverage. Oh yeah, pumpkin spice herbal tea, because I don't drink a lot of caffeine, kids. For their respective companies, I do feel as though they were overrated. And I'll also preface this by saying that I never saw Goldberg in WWE at all. That was the point of wrestling where I was in high school and in college, and totally just not into it. I didn't get back into it until 2012, but that's a question that comes up later. So I missed his run in WWE. I've honestly never been interested in looking it up on YouTube. He could have been completely different, and he could have earned main event status. I don't know. To me, the Goldberg that I saw that created the Goldberg that went to WWE was overrated and should have been lower on the card. And finally, not finally, because this is only number 3. Wow, it's going to be a long video, guys. Kevin Nash. I never liked him. I never liked him as Diesel. I never liked him as Kevin Nash. I was not around for WWE when he came back. I never liked him with the whole NWO thing in WCW. That's when I first got into wrestling, and frankly, I was more attracted to the Hogan and the Macho Man and the Scott Hall than Kevin Nash. Something about him, I don't know. It might have been the fact that when I was in 6th grade, my science teacher told the whole class that she had a crush on him, and I hated her. Maybe that's it. I don't know. But I have just never liked him, and now just seeing what he is in real life, just this kind of like, shoot, interview, jerk, whatever, man. Overrated, was not a fan. Now, I still need to get 2 more to finish answering KJ's question, but it's tough to find overrated people, because like I said, I qualify everything in my life, and I respect people for half the job they're supposed to do. I respect a guy if he's really good on the microphone but isn't that great in the ring. I respect a guy if he's really good in the ring but isn't great on the mic. And I respect a guy if he's there only for comedy purposes. Like, I don't have a problem with Santino Marella. I don't. Because he's supposed to be like the rodeo clown of WWE, and he plays it well. He's the comic relief. He knows he's never going to be a world champion, and he goes out there, he does his part, he plays it, he acts, he does what he gets paid to do. So it's hard for me to find people that are truly overrated after those 3 that I've never really, really liked. Going off of current affairs, this one might be a bit controversial. And frankly, I never saw him in WWE, so it's kind of hard for me to say this. But I think Dave Bautista's a little bit overrated, especially coming back now as a 44-year-old. I don't know why Vince and creative and booking are doing this. I don't know why this is their go-to, but every chance they get, they're bringing back people that are old and past their prime, and they're trying to restore this lost magic they had back in like the mid 2000s. I mean, look at it. We just had Orton versus Cena for a world title in 2013. Like, are you really, that time is over, and you've got this wealth of young talent on the roster that your young fans want to see put over. We want to see a new era here, and they're just not doing it. And instead, to start off this year's road to WrestleMania, they're bringing back Lesnar, they're bringing back Batista. I think that Batista, anything he gets here is going to be overrated. I don't think he deserves to walk into anything, and I am truly horrified and afraid that he's going to win the Royal Rumble, despite the fact that people like Roman Reigns and Daniel Bryan and CM Punk and whatever. I don't think Punk should win, frankly. He had a great title run, and I think he's kind of mailing it in at this point, and it stinks to say it. but he's just not doing anything that shocks me, that amazes me, that makes me, I mean, he's one of my favorite guys on the roster, and, you know, he should always be in and around that upper mid to main event picture. But right now, I think with the Shield, he's just filling up a spot, to be honest. But like you've got other people that could win the Rumble, and I'm afraid they're going to give it to Batista just to have like this great legendary main event at WrestleMania, and I don't want to see any part of that. So I put him on my overrated list. And then finally, I don't know, again, just because I never saw him in the mid-2000s, but like the only two sides of him I've seen are when he was super young in the late 90s and, you know, in the tag team division, and then today where like every time he might come back, the internet freaks out. He comes back for a week and gets hurt. Christian's overrated for me, guys. Again, I missed his run in the mid-2000s. He was probably freaking awesome. But from what I've seen of him, he was Edge's lesser-known partner in the Brood and then taking on the Dudleys and the Hardys. And then I got out of everything. And then I came back, and he's an old man that hypes up his comebacks, comes back, gets thrown into the heavyweight, the world championship picture, and then loses and gets hurt and dies again for 6 months. So that is overrated. That was a much tougher answer than I thought, but that is the answer to KJ Buchanan's question, top 5 overrated wrestlers in history. You guys got to go check him out now for me. All right, we got rid of that. What do we have next? All right, you know what? Next one, it's going to be a much easier one. Achilles of Sweden, who I will link to here. You should subscribe to him as well. He does a lot of like first-person shooter games, and he just started playing around with the Slender series for horror games. If you guys want to see that, since I don't do either of those, this guy is pretty cool with those. His question is, who is your best N4G TV friend? For those of you that don't know, N4G TV is the network that I have partnered with, the multi-channel network. It is very small in comparison to other ones. It's pretty new, and it's fun to help get something like this going and watch it grow with everything I post. The forums are a really fun place right now, so he is also partnered with N4G TV, and that's why he's asking such a loaded question, who is your best N4G TV friend? There are 2 people on the site that I talk to pretty regularly so far. They would be Achilles of Sweden and a guy named Altair, who I will also link to. You should subscribe to him. This About section is going to be huge. My answer to this question is both Altair and Achilles equally 50% best friend. Moving right along. We're going to move on to a question from Mr. Respawn now. He's going to have a few here today. Both he and Mr. Next Level Games 360 decided they were going to ask one question per video for every video that went up since I announced I'd be doing this. So they are going to be heavy hitters here, but either way. Mr. Respawn asks, how did you become a wrestling fan? I had kind of a fun answer for this. So essentially, when I was younger, I was living in a house full of women. I was the only male in this house. I had 2 sisters, my mom, my grandmom, my great aunt, and then 2 female Siamese cats at different times. I was the only source of testosterone in the house, and I'm talking I was like 9, 10 years old, you know, the oldest that I lived there. So where my sisters tended to dominate, you know, watching TV by watching Spice Girls music videos and soap operas with my mom and all that, I tried to find man-centric entertainment wherever I could. And when I was in school, I was in grade school at the time, all of my friends watched WCW. And I got into it, and I really, really liked it. I got in right after, it must have been a few months after Nash and Hall showed up, I guess like 96, 97, sometime around that time. I was like 9, 10 years old, like I said. But I remember I got in right after the NWO became a thing, and I remember the Poke of Doom and all that stuff. I remember I loved the Steiner brothers. I loved Rick and Scott back then as a tag team. I loved Rey Mysterio back then, and oh man, who else did I love in WCW? I really liked Dean Malenko, and for some reason Ernest the Cat Miller. I don't know why. But I had a really good time with that, and eventually my best friend Chris, who I haven't seen in forever, missed the guy, he turned me on to the fact that Goldberg was freaking awesome. You know, I just put him in my overrated message back there. But at the time, he was in the middle of that undefeated streak, and he was unstoppable, and the spear was such a match-changing move. So I got into it, and I loved Goldberg, and I loved everything about WCW. And then all of a sudden, one day I had to move for, family reasons I don't want to get into today, but it was like a super jarring event where one day I'm living in Philadelphia, and I've got all my friends in my school, and then the next day I have to move over to New Jersey with my other grandmom and get into a new school and everything right off the bat. And it was really sudden and jarring and strange, and it took me a while to come out of my shell. But again, because I had that like pre-schema with professional wrestling, when I got over there, I found out that all the guys in my grade that I was trying to make friends with were really into WWF. And I had never really watched it before. I had only heard WCW making fun of it. And like I knew who Stone Cold Steve Austin was, but at the time I'm like, he just looks like a ripoff of Goldberg, which makes, no sense. But so I got into WWF because those guys watched it and I wanted to be their friend. And the first person I saw was Mankind. And he was just everything I wanted to be. I was short, I was fat, I was awkward, I wore stupid clothes, and if I fell over, it usually didn't hurt a lot. So Mankind was like my role model off the bat. And I got so far into him, and it was right around the DX thing, and then like the McMahon-Helmsley regime took over, and the heart of the Attitude Era, I was just completely sold on the product, and I loved every minute of it. And then they fired at, WrestleMania 2000, where it was the Fatal 4-Way, where each McMahon family member backed somebody. And then that was the last match I watched forever. Because that was it. He was my hero. He left the company. I didn't want to see what was going to happen next. And I was in high school the next year anyway. So wrestling wasn't cool anymore for me. I started watching other stuff. I started losing weight and dressing better and looking better and blah, blah, blah. I went to college and I just drank beer the whole time I was there. Never wanted to watch wrestling. And then it took me forever, and I started dating my current girlfriend, and our whole group of friends that we have together, they're very much into the arts. They love performance art. They go to see plays, they go to see musicals, they analyze everything on TV. We all wrote for a blog for a long time that my girlfriend was one of the editors for, that analyzed different aspects of media, and I wrote like sports coverage for it. And we decided that we had all been fans of wrestling at one point or another when we were kids, and we wanted to start watching pay-per-views, ironically. So I think it was the 2012 Royal Rumble was the first time we got together for it. I had no idea what the hell was going on. I thought it was awful, and we just drank and made fun of it, but I made my own signs and everything. And then we wanted to get together again for WrestleMania. So we set the plan, we did it at my house, and my apartment at the time, and I remember doing some research and seeing that The Undertaker had his streak going on, and he was always one of my favorites when I was a kid too. So I made a sign with his little like TX logo, and I put his wins versus losses on it, and just sat in my living room holding this sign up the whole time. And it was really funny, and we had a good time, and something about that kind of piqued my interest. And I remember watching Raw the next Monday, and then I kind of started secretly watching Raw every Monday. And then I told my girlfriend, and she's like, I kind of want to do that too. And then she started coming over on Monday nights every Monday, and we'd watch it on my couch. We had a really good time. And then when we moved in together, it just became a fixture. So now the 4 major pay-per-views every year: Survivor Series, WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and what am I missing? SummerSlam. There we go. We'll try to get together as a group of friends and make fun of them and drink and have a good time. But my girlfriend and I are really into it. We keep watching it today, and that's actually what brought me back, was just the fact that I found somebody that used to like it as much as I did, because she had older brothers, and now we kind of watch it and analyze it, and it's less like who's going to win, who's going to be the champion, and more like how's he acting here, how's their costuming, how's he getting over right now, like actually trying to analyze it from the backstage point of view. But it's a lot of fun, and I'm happy I came back to it, and it led me to YouTube, obviously. So that's my answer to Mr. Respawn's question: how did you become a wrestling fan? Moving right through these. All right, I'm going to move into another complicated one. It's the first one from Next Level Games 360, who may very well be my best YouTube friend. He's the guy that really was behind me from day one on this whole project, as a larger channel than me to this day. So if you don't know who he is, I find that impossible to believe, because 95% of you are here because of him. But for that 5%, check him out. He does a lot of the same universe mode programming that I do, but better. He creates his own universe, and it's awesome. So his question: what is your favorite movie, song, and band? I'm going to need a drink. So, as I mentioned, it's impossible for me to just list one thing as an end-all and be-all answer, because I find value in everything. Life is full of wonderful mystery. But I'm going to do what I can here and give like a small list. So for movies, anything that Quentin Tarantino has put his name on, except for From Dusk Till Dawn, except for that god-awful vampire thing, I love. He's my favorite director. He's one of my favorite writers. Anything he gets his hands on. Inglourious Basterds by him is one of my favorite movies of all time. Pulp Fiction is probably what I would put as my number one favorite movie, but I don't know. Not quite there. He has this almost maniacal way of controlling the production on his set that I love. It's perfect every time, and it's a style that I get behind. Also, anything by the Coen brothers. The Big Lebowski is another one that's one of my favorite movies of all time. Anything they've ever put their hands on. I just rewatched No Country for Old Men for like the 30th time the other night, and remember how much I loved it. Again, they're very much in control of what they do. So yeah, any of those. And I don't know, I'm sure there are plenty of other ones out there. Those are just like the couple that I would say. And if I had to pick one, gun to my head, one movie that if I could just find myself on a desert island with a DVD player, a TV, and this one movie, it's probably Pulp Fiction. I'll never get tired of that. Samuel L. Jackson and John Travolta together are wonderful. My favorite band. Now, my musical taste has changed a lot through the years. When I was a little kid growing up, the WCW days, I thought it was cool to listen to hip-hop because that's what everybody in my grade did, like rap, like hardcore, late 90s gangster rap. So I trying to listen to like DMX and stuff. And like I said, man, I was a short, awkward, fat, white kid. Just get the picture in your head. Giant glasses. I like slicked my hair back. It was a really rough scene. So when I moved over to New Jersey, I started getting into my own thing, and I moved to Jersey in 1999, and I remember on MTV they had this Return of the Rock countdown. It was a video countdown where there was like all the new metal and new alternative of like the late 90s heading into 2000. They had this like top 300 video countdown of it, and I got introduced to these bands like Korn and Slipknot and Powerman 5000, and I hit my metalhead phase where I started dressing like a goth and like the huge UFO pants and big 2XL System of a Down black t-shirts and the rubber bracelets up and down my arms. Again, it was a bad scene. But I finally started finding music that I actually liked. And I still love a lot of just really heavy-hitting progressive metal. You can tell why this is annoying. And I can't just mute my microphone for this because you guys can see me coughing this time. That sucks. But I started finding all these bands that I really did enjoy, and I still listen to a lot of them, and that kind of led to other things. When I got to high school, I started listening to more alternative, modern stuff of the time, like, you know, when Modest Mouse came out, I really liked them. And then I remember when Franz Ferdinand released their self-titled album, and it first debuted in America, I think this is like 2002, it just changed my world. I started listening to a lot more of like the hipster stuff, like The Bravery came out at the same time. Block Party got huge in America at the same time. Arcade Fire, The Walkmen, all these bands, and they just redefined what I liked. So that set me on this path where my musical tastes split, where any day of the week I either wanted some super heavy, awesome metal, or really, really good, just indie, hipster, easygoing rock. And all of my music today kind of branches off of those two main tree trunks that I come from. Of all time, I'm going to give you 5 bands that I think are my favorite, and I'm not going to put them in any particular order. Rage Against the Machine. They were the band that got me out of just liking metal and made it easier for me to like things that weren't quite metal, that led to me liking things like The Bravery and Franz Ferdinand. But they also, I got into them right after 9/11 here in America, which was a very political event, obviously. It put us in a war that we're still not out of, and I've got my opinions on all of it. And before it happened, I didn't have any opinions because politics were just this abstract concept for me. I was 14 years old? 13. I was 13 when the planes hit the towers in New York City. I didn't really have a political belief system at the time, but the day it happened was, I think, my 3rd day of high school. And I remember just feeling the wave of maturity kind of wash over me. I remember, because of that event, developing the political ideals that I still hold today based on what happened after the fact and what our government, you know, how our government handled the situation and how the world handled the situation. Rage Against the Machine was a very comforting band at that time because we shared many of the same ideals. And they really kind of helped me understand the world on a level that I did not understand when I was still in grade school. So I credit listening to them and that whole event molding me into the adult that I became today. And I still listen to Rage whenever I can, and I wish they were still together, but Zach De La Rocha is a crazy man. The Mars Volta, I might make them my number one favorite band ever. I hated them when I was in college. I hated them. They just sounded so weird and progressive and all over the place, and their music made no sense to me. One of my roommates, when I lived in my frat house, this guy Bill, he loved them, and every time he'd drive me around somewhere, he'd play them in the background, and I couldn't stand it. And then one day I started liking it, and I kind of think it was the day that I started deciding that I wanted to write as a side venture, when I wanted to start putting a book together, because their music has just inspired me so much in the stuff that I write. So many things in the book that I've been writing are based on concepts of certain songs of theirs, because they are, more often than not, the music I'll be playing in the background when I do decide to write. Unfortunately, they're a band that has also broken up. I saw them live a few times. One time the lead singer kicked me in the mouth, and it was wonderful because I grabbed his boot and wouldn't let go. It's friggin' great. They may be my favorite band of all time. Their music is strange and weird, but it totally appeals to me, and they're in my heart. The next two, Protest the Hero and Between the Buried and Me, they are my two current favorite metal bands, and they're both much more on the progressive side of the equation if you haven't heard of either of them. Protest the Hero is catchy and melodic while still having these great meaningful songs, and every album that comes out, they just seem to mature and grow more meaningful with the themes that they sing and write about. I definitely recommend them. Between the Buried and Me is a lot less melodic and catchy, and they're one of those metal bands. So the one thing I have to say is that they could sing a little bit more, and I might like them. But they do this great thing where each of their albums is a straight-up concept album, and the two before their last two, their two albums, The Great Misdirect and Colors, are pretty much my two favorite metal albums of all time. Really, really well done. And then I love The Heavy. If you're over in Britain right now, you guys have my favorite current band, The Heavy. They are phenomenal. I remember I first heard How You Like Me Now on, it was a car commercial here in the States 2-3 years ago. I'm like, man, that song is really freaking catchy. And I looked them up and I got into them. They don't write a bad song. They don't do anything bad. And my girlfriend and I actually got to see them when they came to Philly earlier last year in 2013. They played this tiny little theater here on South Street in Philadelphia, the TLA. And, I mean, they just killed it. The whole crowd was moving with them the whole time. So good. Love them. Favorite song now. Again, we're going to have some trouble, so I'm just going to lay down my decisions here. Viscera Eyes is my favorite song by the Mars Volta. It is super jazzy while very, very modern and still makes no sense like the rest of their stuff. And it's just this insane drum rhythm that I can never quite catch. And I love it because every time I listen to it, I just try to move along with it, and I can't do it, but it's wonderful. Guerrilla Radio is my favorite Rage Against the Machine song. It's the first one I ever heard by them, and it's wonderful and very, very energetic. I like it when I'm at the gym. By Protest the Hero, a song off their not newest album, but the one right before it. It's a song called Sex Tape. It is hilarious, but it's also a really well-written metal song. You guys should check that one out. The entire Great Misdirect album by Between the Buried and Me, as I just mentioned, just listen to it as one thing. It's wonderful. I have derived so many ringtones from that album. It's insane. And then, in my opinion, Jesus Christ. In my opinion, Voodoo Child by either the original version, Jimi Hendrix, or the cover by Stevie Ray Vaughan may very well be the greatest written piece of music in recorded human history. So, I dare you to argue that. What else do we have? A lot of these are heavy hitting. I want to get the little ones out of the way. Oh, here we go. NLG360 asks, if you could be any other animal, what would you be? The answer is a penguin. Tuxedos, guys, all day, every day. You have no idea how much I enjoy men's fashion. I own 2 suits that were custom tailored, slim cut, svelte. They're European style for my frame that I spent an exorbitant amount of money on a few years ago. Spent a large chunk of the inheritance of my grandmother's estate on those suits, but I wear them with pride to this day. They are wonderful. I have a problem where I have these giant gorilla arms, and I can't buy shirts and jackets off the rack because for my body type, I'm 6 foot tall. I'm in athletic shape. I'm just at 185 pounds, mostly muscle. My arms are super long for that, so I can buy like t-shirts, a small. I can buy a medium. They fit me well. They look damn good. But when it comes to like button-down long sleeve shirts or suit jackets or even just regular jackets, I usually have to buy much larger and then get them tailored down. So the one suit I had before I got these two was this like awful boxy Italian thing that my grandma bought for me from Boscov's over here back when I was 17 years old. And it did its job when I liked looser fitting clothing, but when I lost weight, when I started going to the gym more and becoming more athletic, I started wearing clothes that reflected that. I wear skinny jeans, I wear small t-shirts, and I wanted my suits to reflect that. And I remember when I went to get these suits cut, oh man, this is gonna sound so weird, but I just had these pictures of like David Beckham in my head, the way that he wears suits, like slim ties, wide collars, narrow, long lapels on his jacket. I'm like, I want that. I want a slim cut suit. So I got 2 of them, and they look awesome, and I'm happy with them. And because of that, I would want to be a penguin. Get rid of those. Mr. Respawn, once again, asking, what is your favorite wrestler across any promotion? This one's tough, considering how much I love Chikara, and you guys know that. Again, I'm going to have to name a few here, and I'll probably be able to narrow it down to just one by the end, even though I may hate the decision. So, Ultraman is Black from Chikara. He's awesome, great and devious. He's like the comic book supervillain of professional wrestling. He's the Cobra Commander of professional wrestling, and he's wonderful. I love everything that Bray Wyatt is doing in the WWE right now. I hope he sticks around for a long time, and I hope he becomes one of the biggest bad guys on that roster. He is fantastic with this gimmick. Everything he does is different than everything everyone else does. He's creepy. He gets in your head. He delivers his promos in a quiet, non-pausing fashion. His entrance music doesn't need to be loud and bombastic. It's quiet, and it draws the whole audience into it. It makes sure that you're paying attention to everything he's doing from the second he walks in to the second he leaves again. Love that. He controls everything around him, and he's really friggin' good at it. Daniel Bryan, I mean, come on. When I got back into WWE, I hated him because I got in when he was the world champion, and the second time we watched wrestling was when Sheamus kicked him in the mouth and won in like 17 seconds or whatever the hell it was. And I just hated him because he was whiny, he was annoying. The whole thing with AJ was a dumb storyline in my opinion, but I just didn't realize what it could possibly be building to. And the whole time I was watching him WWE, I wondered who he was. Like, the hell is this guy? And I started looking him up, and then I saw his indie pedigree, and I started watching older matches of his. I saw when he was just dominating in Ring of Honor. I'm like, wow, like, why can't they let him do that there? And then, several months later, that happened, and this whole year has just been Daniel Bryan's year. He is amazing. He is on fire. And I saw an image meme that someone put together earlier this week where, first we had Hogan, and it's a picture of Hogan doing his flexing. And then we had Stone Cold, and it's a picture of Stone Cold smiling while he's getting arrested. And now we got Daniel Bryan. It's a picture from him on Monday night sitting on the cage. Yeah, I totally agree. He's the next megastar. I'm pretty sure we're at the beginning of a new era, and whether or not creative wants to write stories for it, the fans are going to make them. He's on fire. You can't ignore it. Eddie Kingston is another one of my favorites. He's been all over the indies. I got to know him from Chikara. He's also pretty well known from Ring of Honor. He's been teaming with Homicide as part of Outlaw Incorporated. He's been in a lot of different places, and I love him. I hate the way he looks in the ring. I mean, the dude has no ring shape whatsoever. He's like averagely built, and then his gut, he's just got a beer gut. Like, it's crazy, and he wears like tight spandex over it, and like it's obvious, but he's so good in the ring. He really does drive a match well, and it's his psychology. His promos are fantastic. His in-ring psychology, like telling a story in the match, beautiful, spot on. If you guys have not seen any of his promotional interviews and things, like as the grand champion of Chikara, go watch him. He's a madman, and whether he's a face or a heel, he makes you kind of rethink what it's like to actually deliver things like promos. Dasher Hatfield, also from Chikara, that whole universe. I love the guy. He's he's the old-timey king of swing. He's like an early 1900s baseball player trapped in a luchador's world. He's got a baseball for a mask with like a mustache on it, and he's great. He's one of the nicest guys in that locker room. I met him at the Anniversario Never Compromise show, bought merch from him, kind of chatted him up for a little bit. Just really, really cool. I love his gimmick. I love him in the ring. I love his moveset. He's just a lot of fun to watch. And then to finish off with the big product, Damian Sandow and Big E Langston. I love both of them. I didn't like that they made Sandow cash in against Cena the way they made him cash in, but he did get some pretty big matches against John Cena, and they helped Damian Sandow a lot more than they hurt him. He's not going anywhere. And Big E, I mean, I don't have to say anything. The guy's a friggin' fire. He's a superstar. Like, I can't wait to see what they do with him in the next couple of years. So I'm going to narrow it down from those. I'm going to pick one from Chikara and one from WWE just because they're the two promotions that I actively watch. I've seen things from PWG and from Ring of Honor. I don't watch TNA. Don't ever expect that here at all. I see things on Twitter and I just want no part of what's going on in that world. But I think out of the Chikara universe, I would have to say that my favorite is Ultraman is Black. Just because I was a comic geek when I was a kid, and that's what Chikara is. It's a comic book taking place inside a wrestling ring, complete with the continuity and everything. I mean, they're wonderful, and he's the supervillain, and he's awesome. And then for WWE, I mean, it's a total cop-out, but it's Daniel Bryan. I don't care. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid. I've loved him for months now, and he's exactly what I want to see in a professional wrestler. I never liked the big steroid guys of the era where I was growing up. I want to see smaller, submission, high-flying oriented people. I want to see a more athletic display. I don't want to see someone like get punched in the head and then get a 3 count. No, I want to see the friggin' backflip. I want to see a moonsault. Show me something. And these guys are doing it. So I give it up for him. And that's who my favorite wrestler across any promotion is. If I had to put it between Daniel Bryan and Ultraman is Black, my head would probably explode. All right. I want to get someone else other than Respawn and NLG, but that's really tough. Oh, here's one. My last one from LSX Killer 9000. Hey, when are we going to make a series? He'll be willing to record. LSX and I, we tried recording a Minecraft adventure map a while back, and my computer just totally couldn't handle it. There was way too much going on with the mods involved in the map and whatnot, where my frame rate just dropped, and it never went up, and I kind of hate it. I wish it did go up, and then the few saved pieces that we had got lost in my last hard drive crash. So I'm just going to answer this for LSX and anyone else that wants to record with me nowadays in things like Minecraft and other PC games. It's tough nowadays. Now that I live with my girlfriend, the schedule is different. Because, I mean, I have the day like I'm doing right now. It's about 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. But usually I'm working on Universe Mode or something like that because that is the bread and butter of my channel. I work from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. I go to the gym at some point. I have to write. I have to pay my bills. I have to do those things. And then when I come home from work, it's what I used to do a lot of recording when I lived on my own in my apartment. But my girlfriend is asleep, and this room I'm in now is our office. Our bedroom is 2 rooms that way. She's going to hear everything. I'm not exactly quiet when I'm recording. I don't come over and whisper into the microphone. No, it's not what I do. I'm bombastic. I'm loud. I kill my voice before I go to work to give you guys good commentary. So I can't do it at night anymore. It's really tough to find the time. I am going to say, let me come to you, Mr. LSX Killer, and I'll come up with something for you. We'll move from there, because this question comes up again pretty soon, and I'm actually going to jump right into that right now with a question from... Who asked this? Well, everybody. All right, so it's the epic one. My friend Marinus also asked by ladies... I never knew how to pronounce your name, lady. I'm just going to call you lady. I think it's Zijuan. I think so. I don't think it's Ziwan. You're going to have to tell me about that. And Skylar, Laura. These are 3 people that I used to play on the Blind Miners Minecraft server with. You remember those videos from over the summer if you were here. If not, go check them out. It was a fun little series while it lasted before my computer died again and I stopped doing YouTube for about a month and a half or longer. But the question asked by all 3 is, have you been planning on returning to multiplayer Minecraft since Blind Miners went down? They asked pretty much the same question in different ways. Are you planning on doing any mini games, adventure maps? Are you going to come record this again? So I have planned on it, and I would love to, but my computer really does have a hard time with Minecraft, and frankly, most computer games. That's why my channel has largely switched over to console-based gaming, or Starbound, which is only a two-dimensional side-scroller that it still has problems running. That's why I have to stop for a frame rate, at the beginning of every episode for a few minutes. That and the schedule changing that I just mentioned, it's tough. I miss the game a lot. I had a lot of fun with it. Some of my favorite series are my Minecraft series from this summer. That UHC I did with like Hal Plays and Brickett and those guys on their server. That was way too much fun. I got so far in that, and it was tense. And I played for just over 4 hours. I remember I was sitting next to my computer in my apartment with a giant jug of water that somebody thought I was actually peeing into the whole time. One of the guys, Pyro-Arson, I think. I don't know. But, yeah, I don't know. I miss that. I miss that a lot. But every time I try to sit down and start a new world in Minecraft now, without recording and without having Skype open, with Minecraft as the only program open, I can't get good frames. And if I add Skype and I add my ScreenFlow recording software to that, I got nothing. It won't be a video to put up on YouTube at all. And if it's not something to put up on YouTube, I don't really have a whole lot of time to devote to it now. I don't game just to game that much anymore. I game to put it on YouTube. The only things I play are the things that you guys see on my channel. So it's tough, and I hope the three of you are patient, because I want to find a way to get back into it. It'll happen. I just don't see it happening right now. But I'm still in your Skype channel and all that stuff. So talk to me on Twitter and all. I miss every single one of you. And that answers that question. Woo! We're going to go back down a little bit. Alright, Mr. Respawn again. He's going to ask, who is your favorite YouTuber? Again, there are going to be so many answers to this question. I can't believe it's taken me this long to do this crap. Yet another impossible to answer question. Some of the options, I'm just going to run through them. These are the guys that I have been watching since I decided, hey, I might want to do that someday. Tony Pizza Guy, 101 Gaming, Vintage Beef, NLG360, Paul Soares Jr., Mufta, Sports Gaming Universe, BOO, Generic B, C-Nanners. Everything they do is something that I watch every day. I can't believe the number of times that C-Nanners has made me laugh uncontrollably in just one daily 3-minute video upload, and his today should actually be coming up, so I need to watch that soon. But they're all people that combined gave me the reasoning to get behind this camera and this microphone and do my thing over here. Tony Pizza Guy was the first WWE YouTuber I ever watched. His Universe mode I was in awe of when 13 came out, where he had like Vince Russo come out in his Universe mode with Nash and all those guys at Triple H. It was hilarious. The new Click 101 has always had one of my favorite Universe modes too. I can't believe the way that he edits everything. And then you've got the guys that do other games. You've got Vintage Beef and Generic B, BOO, Paul Soares. Those guys, their Minecraft series, they're unbelievable, and they are so in touch with their fans. They sound like the nicest guys in the world. I love watching their stuff. So that's that. I'm not going to pick one of those to be my favorite. No, I'm not going to pick one of those to be my favorite. I almost tried. It's not happening. And then Next Level Games 360 with another question. What is your favorite series and video on your channel so far? One that was most fun to make, watch, and to share with your subs. Favorite series, I can say this. The one that I had the most fun making and just love to watch now was my Minecraft Ultra Hardcore series with the Hal Plays and those guys. They were not people that I had played with before. It was just a random Twitter question one night from him where he said, hey man, you got Minecraft videos. You want to come play with us? I said, yeah, I'll try it out. I always watched the Minecraft UHC series, and I thought it was great. It was tense, it was dramatic, it was suspenseful, and as much as it feels that way to watch it, multiply it by 10 to play it. I was shaking the whole time because I just didn't want to die, and I had the skeleton dungeon, and I was trying to make the tree grow, and I don't know, man. It was crazy. I would, and I should say, that my 2K14 Universe mode is my favorite, because we just hit episode 20 yesterday, which is the longest series by far I've ever had on my channel. But I can't honestly say that that's my favorite until I find a definitive way to make my PVR recording problems, my sound issues, the pixelation that hits every now and then, those are all because of the PVR I use not hooking up correctly to my Mac. It was a piece of machinery that was designed for Windows computers that somebody created, somebody not in the Hauppauge company, the Hauppauge who makes the PVR, someone else made a Mac application that worked well enough that Hauppauge said, hey, we endorse that. Go to them and they'll give it to you. You know, since you bought this, you get their application for free or whatever. It just doesn't work well enough. It's a buggy app. They just updated it and it seems to be working better now. But like I can't live stream, you know. Regardless, because I often upload my Universe Mode episodes with errors intact, I can't say that's my favorite. I can't make it my favorite series if I upload inferior videos for you guys to watch. So, that being said, now I have to pick my favorite video. I'm going to go with a few options and try to narrow it down, as I have my Extreme Rules pay-per-view that just went up last week. I love that thing. Yeah, I left in the glitch. I forgot to edit that out, where they're bouncing off the ropes in the first match. Whatever, I started it over. It was still fun to watch. It was the hardest I've ever worked on a video. It was the most excited I've been to get one up, and I'm not even a little bit disappointed with the end product. I think I did a really good job on that, and I've watched it back a couple times since then. Considering this is video number 100, let's go back to video number 1 for one of my favorites, Zamboni Drivers, episode 1 of my Game Dev Tycoon series. I loved it, because I didn't have a good mic yet. I was just talking into my computer. I didn't even have a mouse yet. I was just using my trackpad, which at the time was broken. So Game Dev Tycoon was pretty much the only thing I could play. It was my first video ever. And it brought so many people to my channel. And it made me realize, wow, like, a few of you had known who I was already, and you were going to come subscribe anyway. But to see the comments on it, to see people, oh, that sexy voice, like, that really made me think, like, wow, I have a shot at doing something good on this channel. This could be a lot of fun, and that's why I kept doing it. If that one episode didn't go over well, I probably would not have stuck it out. So that meant a lot to me. I think I've gone from 1 to 100 in a little bit over 6 months. It's completely insane. My setup video, yeah. If you remember it, awesome. If not, go watch it. It's on my video manager, my gaming setup, where I took my little, where is it? It's up here. This guy, my Canon point and shoot, and recorded my setup in my kitchen after work that night. I had the beer in the background, I had my little external hard drive, and I had that awesome song from Kevin MacLeod playing in the background. And it's one of my favorites of all time. That was a lot of fun to make. It was goofy. And then the primers and complexities video from my WWE 13 Universe Mode, my first video in that series, where I explained in 45 minutes all of the nuances with which I would play Universe Mode, the promotion, the demotion, all of that. And I still link to that in all of my Universe Mode videos today, because I can't explain it any better than I did then. That video, to this day, is the most viewed video on my channel. It's almost up to 600 views right now, which is weird, because I tend to average about 65 to 70. That was also right around the time that I got in contact with 101 Gaming, and he mentioned me in one of his videos, and a ton of people came over and watched it, and I got a lot of subscribers from it, and it was really, really neat just to see people that were truly interested, because up to that point, I had always said, like, I'm going to do things differently on this channel. I'm going to play games the way you never expected them to be played. And, like, I did it with the Sims Survivor series, but my computer just couldn't handle that game, so I had to get rid of it after a while. To think that people would come and watch me play a wrestling game when there are so many people out there that do Universe Mode, in my opinion, better than I do, only because I had some different ideas, that meant a lot to me. And to this day, that's... Actually, I'm going to say it. That is my favorite video I've ever released. That video, the immediate response to it, so many people that I had never spoken to before hopping on and saying, wow, this is a really good idea. I'm going to use this in my own game. That's why I do this. I'm going to give you guys ideas. So, awesome. That's my favorite. Sniffle. Let's get rid of some of these. Oh, man, where are we? My voice is going to be dead at work tonight. All right, NLG 360. What are the 3 dream WWE matches you want to see, even if one of the superstars is dead? Number 1 should be obvious to any of you that have even heard a single word out of my mouth. Macho Man versus CM Punk. Case friggin' closed. Gotta see that, you know? And actually, to promote one of my other videos, we're going to be doing Superstars for my Universe mode coming up this week, and this is one of the matches that you get to vote for. If you want to see the rest of the match card, I'm going to link it right now in an annotation. You're going to go to my Reddit, and you're going to check it out there. I have the entire match card posted. You're going to get to vote on one. You can either vote on it in the comments on that Reddit or vote on it on Twitter. So far, there's only one vote for a match so far, and if that's the case, that's the one we go with. So get some votes in on that, guys. I'll put out other reminders. So Macho versus Punk, that's number one, definitely. It's going to sound kind of weird, but I really want to see Roman Reigns versus The Rock. It's like the whole cousins thing, but they're both, you know, the bigger, stronger guys. Like, I just feel like their mutual charisma in the ring together would be a much better match than The Rock versus John Cena. I'm just saying that. I feel like Reigns could handle that. I really do. His moveset it's already causing people to freak out. Every time he goes up for that Superman punch, everyone gasps. Every time he spears, everybody oohs. Like, he's going to be a killer in the future, and I would like to see that match. I'm nowhere near as burnout on The Rock as most of the people I follow on Twitter and subscribe to on YouTube. I think he's great. I think he's had a wonderful career. I think he's charismatic, and frankly, if there's one WWE superstar I could ever meet and just like have lunch with, I'd want it to be him. He is a guy that I want to know personally in my life. And I wanted to wrestle Roman Reigns. And finally, you know, it's another obvious one, but I want to see Shawn Michaels and Daniel Bryan. Teacher, tutor, you know, student, all that stuff. But it's not only that. It's not the fact that he's the trainer. They're both small. They're both scrappy. Neither of them is that steroid guy. They're both athletic and agile. And they're both the pop masters of their generation. Heartbreak Kid, late 90s, was an icon. Daniel Bryan has just become one. It's, like I said earlier, we're on a new era right now, and that's it. I think they could put on a great match. I think they could put on a good match today, frankly. And I remember when we had Michaels come back, what was it, on Raw, and he and Punk like stared each other down or whatever. And people were like, what if we see Daniel Bryan and Shawn Michaels? What if we see Punk and Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania? I would love to see Daniel Bryan versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania this year. I think it could be a good match, even though Michaels, you know, he's older, but he's not going to do it, obviously. I think it could happen. And then honorable mentions would be Jake the Snake Roberts versus Dean Ambrose after last Monday's Raw. I think that'd be pretty freaking cool. The Undertaker versus Antonio Cesaro, that would be a fun one. And The Undertaker versus Roman Reigns. Now, Undertaker, I would want him in his prime, since we're saying, you know, what is a dream match? I don't want The Undertaker today that can only wrestle once a year. I love the guy, but I think he should stop. No, I would want to see The Undertaker versus Cesaro, like Undertaker 98, like Corporate Ministry, that guy. I love Cesaro. I love his moveset. I love his personality. I wish that they would let him talk a bit more, but I think that they're afraid that with a thick accent, the WWE universe at large would not be interested in it, and that's why they've stuck him with Zeb for as long as they have. He can give a promo. He can interview. Again, we're going to bring it back to Chikara, but when he was Claudio on the Indies, man, he was really freaking good, and I think they should give him another chance as that, but, you know, they're going to do what they're going to do. I think his future will have him on his own again. And he's obviously never going to fight The Undertaker, but it's something I would like to see. So yeah, that's going to do that question. Let's get rid of that. And, you know, while we're on the topic, who do you want to see take on The Undertaker at WrestleMania 30? Lots of possibilities here. Off the top of my head, I do want to see Daniel Bryan versus The Undertaker this year. This is the one that I'm going to say. I do want to see it happen this year. And there's a chance that it will. I don't think that they're going to give Bryan his title shot at Mania. I don't think they're going to give him his Mania moment in that regard. I think they're going to give him a WrestleMania moment. They're obviously not stupid enough to completely bomb him when he gets the reaction he does. There's no way they would have let him climb to the top of the cage on Monday night. They knew he was going to get a pop. They orchestrated that. They're not against Daniel Bryan, but they're trying to leverage the situation so that they can make as much money off of it as long as possible. The longer they make us wait for him to become champion, the more excited we'll get when it does happen and the more merchandise we'll buy. They've done their market research on this. They know what they're doing in marketing with WWE. There's a chance that they stretch it out too long and they actually snap it and it gets dry and stale. I don't think they're anywhere near that happening, though. So I don't think it's going to be a title shot at WrestleMania. I do think that Dave Bautista is going to win. I think that Orton is going to lose his rematch to John Cena at the Royal Rumble based on him losing to Kofi on Monday Night Raw. I think they're ready to let him drop that again. I think Cena is going to be your unified champ, whatever, and I think he's going to ride that to WrestleMania and take on Batista, and I think he'll win there, but they just want, like, Cena versus Batista. They were the same guy, essentially. They want to have that happen. But, long story short, I do think that Batista wins the Rumble and Daniel Bryan is the last guy in with him, and I think that The Undertaker provides a challenge or something along those lines. That's my prediction. I'll put it here now, and it's a match I do want to see. We haven't really seen a style like Daniel. Daniel Bryan has a style unto his own, frankly, and especially now that he's got that running knee, it just... I would love to see someone that agile take on The Undertaker and have them both turn in a good match. It would be tough because Taker is so beat down. It's going to be tough to work with him like that, but I think if anyone can do it, it would be Daniel Bryan. He's going to put in a quality match. And there's also the fact that Undertaker has expressed an interest in working with D-Bry for WrestleMania. That was in PW Insider or something a couple weeks back. You know, take the dirt sheets as far as you want to take them, but I'll give that some credit. I would want to work with him. Other than D-Bry, some other less likely wishes. I mean, I mentioned Cesaro. I just want to see Cesaro versus Undertaker. I just want to see it happen. And another one that I would be interested in, I wouldn't completely hate it if they went this route, but if they took this new, like, let's say they do give Daniel Bryan a title shot at WrestleMania. Let's say Batista doesn't win the Rumble. Let's say Bryan goes to WrestleMania. Let's say he wins the title there. They've got this new era set, but they need somebody to fight The Undertaker. What if it's Kane? What if it's corporate Kane? What if it's Kane of the Authority? What if Undertaker walks in after the Royal Rumble and just tries to single someone out, and they're like, I don't want to fight The Undertaker at WrestleMania, and then Kane walks out and says, you don't have the authority to do that. I'm the authority, though, and I'm going to kick your ass at WrestleMania. And they have, one last Brothers of Destruction free-for-all. How cool would that be? I would like that. Kane's not, like, too old to wrestle. he puts in good matches, and if you guys have seen pictures, he's still wrestling at live shows. I don't know if anybody's actually been to one to see it, but when they go to, like, house shows, he still wrestles. He wears his Kane attire without the mask, like, just with the shaved head now. And, he's still, like, Kane of the Authority, but he gets in the ring and he wrestles. I would like to see that. If that was, like, a swerve they were going to put us through, I wouldn't mind that. I think that'd be pretty cool. But I think it's pretty likely that, considering he's not even in the Royal Rumble, considering that he's fighting the Big Show at the Royal Rumble and therefore probably is not going to get a title shot at WrestleMania, yet is most likely signed through that pay-per-view, I think this is the year we're going to see Brock Lesnar take on The Undertaker, and that's the one match I don't want to see. I'm sorry, Tom Cushney. That's the answer to that question. We're going to get into some long answers now, as if the ones we haven't. Yeah, I only have 2 questions left. So, I'm going to go with one last one from NLG360. If you could do a duo collaboration with any YouTuber you wanted, then who would you choose? P.S. He says, I don't count. So, NLG does not count here. Considering how different my videos are and will continue to be, how I'll always have, like, wrestling and sports, and then, like, sandbox creative games like Minecraft and Starbound and things like that, I'm going to pick 2, and they're each going to fall on one side of the equation. So for the non-wrestling stuff, it's got to be Paul Soares Jr., Minecraft YouTuber. Man, come on today. His videos were definitely among the first that convinced me that YouTube could even just be a positive place to learn things. I bought Minecraft on a whim. I didn't even know if it was going to work on my computer, and this is long before I decided to make YouTube videos. I just wanted to play the game. It looked awesome. But I had no idea how to do anything, and I remember looking at his channel, and he has a Survive and Thrive series where it teaches you from square one how to do everything in the game of Minecraft in just this very easygoing and comfortable style. He's got a very, like, comforting voice, if that makes any sense. And as you get into his videos, you learn that he's just this like incredible family man. He's got his wife and his children, and like you get to see them grow up, and he has series that are him playing Minecraft with his kids in like safe servers, and he advocates for servers specifically for people with special needs, and like everything he does just paints him to be this wonderful human being. And his commentary in games is just funny and warm and lively. Never a bad thing out of his mouth, never anything dirty, and just like he just sounds like a guy you want to know. Like, so I want to collaborate with him. If I could play just like 1 half-hour session with him, it would be in the world. It would be so much fun. Not to mention he'd probably teach me everything. And if we're going with the wrestling and sports side, there are a few of you who I could make a video with right now if I just said, hey, get on Skype. Like, I'm looking at you, NLG360. I'm pretty sure as long as I promised Mufta enough romantic favors that he would let me make a video with him. And I'm pretty sure if you know, I made him forget that he was about to become a father, that 101 Gaming would do something with me too. But I want to pick one that is kind of outside of my current realm of possibility, like someone that I'm just not in a network with, that I could say, hey man, you want to go make something? Yeah, sure, let's do it. Tony Pizza Guy, definitely. As I mentioned earlier, he was the first WWE gamer that I got into on YouTube. He's actually, this is going to sound like I'm blaming him, but he's the reason I bought the PVR I did. It was a video that he made for the HD PVR 2 Gaming Edition that I saw on his channel, and I remember I was looking like, how can I record my wrestling game? You know, what am I going to do here? And I remember looking it up, and I saw that it was compatible for both Windows and Mac, and it was like a little bit cheaper than the Elgato at the time. And just because he had reviewed it so positively, I'm like, I got to do it. I have to get it now. I knew that he was reviewing it from Windows standpoint, and at the time that I bought it, I didn't realize how different it would be from Mac to Windows, but that's neither here nor there. He's the reason that I bought that. He is essentially, therefore, responsible for me starting to put WWE Games content on my channel, and his videos I've just always enjoyed. Back when I first started watching him, he was doing his WWE 13 Universe mode. He got into some WWE 12 stuff last year, and now with 2K14, he's doing online things. What I really like about his channel nowadays, he hasn't had the easiest year from what you can see on his stuff. You know, he's had some not family, but personal issues going on. And a lot of his videos recently are like these, you know, deep thoughts things. I love them. You know, when you're a YouTube content creator, your subscribers come from all walks of life, young and old, fit and unhealthy, you know, like experienced and inexperienced, whatever. And everyone has their own problems. And he's got subscribers of his that are messaging him that they need help with life. And instead of just like deleting the messages, you know, whatever, I'm too busy for this, he makes videos about his answer for them. He makes a vlog about, you know, how things get better for you. I love that. I love every part of it. It's one of the most thoughtful series I've ever seen. And coming from a guy who does wrestling videos, like, it's fantastic. Yeah, I would love to just have like a half-hour session with him as well. Like, just pick his brain for knowledge on YouTube and all that stuff. But he's consistently among my favorite WWE Games YouTubers. And then we get to my last question. There's a reason that I made this my last one. It's asked by both Mr. Respawn and Phoenix Rising Games, who has not been linked to yet, so he will be. What made you decide to become a YouTuber? Alright, so, as you guys might know, based on the videos I've had so far, I'm a college dropout. I went away to school. I went to school on a full academic scholarship. It didn't pay for room and board, but I paid for room and board out of grants that I had my freshman year, and I was fine. I went to school completely free for a full year, and I got good grades the first year. The second semester, I made a big life decision. When I was done in high school, my junior and senior year, I was really involved. Student government, athletics, yearbook, honor societies. I was like the face of my high school. I was everywhere. I was smart. The teachers loved me. I was also incredibly lazy, to the point where I actually convinced a teacher of mine that I handed in a 10-page thesis paper in my AP history course that I never actually handed in. And I convinced him so well that he gave me a B+ on it. He never even had it. Whoa. I was dumb. I was a really, really lazy person. I hated handing in projects, but when it came to tests, I was incredibly book smart. I had a good set of morals about me. I was nice to everybody, and everyone just generally liked me. So when I got to college, I wanted the same things to happen. I did well in my classes. I started handing in papers. But that second semester, I wanted to be just as involved. And I had two big choices to make. I was either going to become an RA and continue to live in the dorms and watch out for people, and not only would I have a full academic scholarship every year, but I would also have my room and board covered and get paid a little bit on the side. Or I was going to join a fraternity, and the jump from high school to college was tough for me. I don't want to say I had a tough time making friends, because I didn't, but I had a tough time feeling like I was really, truly involved on campus. And I have this thing about me where I don't like being a small fish in a big pond. I'd rather be a big fish in a small pond. And I always want to be involved socially in whatever I'm doing. More important to me than actually getting what I'm doing done. So when I went to school and all that, I really just wanted to get as many friends as I could. And I decided that buying them was a good idea. No, these guys are some of my best friends to this day, but the choice I made was to join a fraternity. And that summer, the fraternity started renting a new house, and as one of the young guys, I was asked to move in just to make sure that we had it full and people were paying rent on it. So I did. I moved into the frat house, and I spent my sophomore and junior year living in this frat house, and all I did was drink. I had no motivation to go to class. All I did was play video games and drink and stay home. And I remember it started because I broke my foot early in the fall semester. I was playing an intramural basketball game for our frat, and it was actually after the game, and I was trying to chase a ball down, and I tried to do that thing where like you save it going out of bounds and you throw it back across the court, only when I planted my right foot, my whole body weight just rolled onto it, and I snapped a bone under it. I thought I just like sprained my ankle or something, but I tried to walk home, and I like just collapsed. I'm like, somebody's going to give me a ride. And I actually was walking around on that foot, wrapped up in an ace bandage for 2 weeks, I think, afterwards, and it hurt like hell, but I thought it was just a bad sprain. And I remember my grandfather had passed away, and I was a pallbearer at his funeral, and I was carrying the casket on my shoulder. And I remember walking through the cemetery, I could feel, with the weight of that casket on my shoulder, I could feel my bones in my foot crunching as I walked. Imagine that. Cringe a little bit. It sucked. So I went to the hospital that day after the funeral, and I had a broken bone. So I got casted, and I went home, and it was right around the time Guitar Hero came out, and like the first one. And I remember with the cast on my foot, I just never went to class. Well, I don't feel like going. I lived right off campus. It was a 5-minute walk away, and I just didn't do it. I was too lazy, and I just sat home and played video games. I grew this giant beard. I never took a shower. It was disgusting, and I never recovered from that. Once I got the cast off, I just never went back to class. But I also never withdrew from my classes, so I literally just took zeros as final grades in 5 courses for my fall semester that year. How dumb is that? So I did the same thing my second semester because I was the president of the fraternity, and that was the most important thing in the world to me, was being social. And 2 straight semesters with barely a 1.0 GPA on a 4.0 scale. They will take away your full scholarship. And I ran out of money for school. So my first semester of my junior year, I was paying out of pocket, and I made it a week and then realized I couldn't afford it. So I drove home, and I told my grandma what happened, and I had a breakdown. I was all kinds of freaked out. I started living on her couch, and that was 5 years ago, 5.5 just about, 5 years ago last June. And I started working on my own in the city of Philadelphia, and then I moved over here, and I moved on my own, and then I met my girlfriend, and we moved in together, and like every day of the past 5 years, my goal has been to get back to that level of responsibility and get myself ready to go back to school again. And around Christmas of 2012, yeah, that was it. I remember watching a video that, because I had been watching YouTube for a while at that point. I remember Minecraft YouTuber iJevin, I don't know if you guys watch him at all. He started putting out these things that explained what YouTube was like on the backside of it. and it explained how YouTubers actually make their money. And it was like the most enlightening video I had ever watched before. My voice is so bad right now. Can you guys hear that? Oh, that's awful. God. Whew. Like realizing after watching that video and hearing about CPMs with multi-channel networks and everything, realizing that I could make videos and just put them up there and never actually have to ask any one of my subscribers for money, like through donations or anything like that, it was a complete revelation. Like the success stories that he described, like PewDiePie and Toby, but like Captain Sparkles, they amazed me because these guys, Captain Sparkles is like 5 years younger than I am. And he's a millionaire. That's insane to me. That's insane to me. I had no idea what I would upload, though. I knew I wanted to make a YouTube channel at that point because I wanted to make the money I needed to go back to school very quickly. And I just had no idea what to do. So I had Minecraft, I had these computer games, but also, when I was younger, talking like teenage years, I had this friend in New Jersey, this guy Jimmy that lived down the street from me. I was friends with his whole family. We both loved sport games, like Madden and the NHL series and like wrestling and all that stuff. We both get the newest Madden and like hockey game every year, and we would record them on friggin' VHS tapes and send them back and forth to each other. Yeah, it was just pretty dumb, but we would like I would record an entire season of NHL on this one tape. Like obviously not end to end, but like I'd give him like a month here, a month there. We'd record like our playoff series, and then we'd let each other borrow the tapes, watch them, see how the other guy played, and then give the tape back, and we'd record our own stuff again. And we did that with like our PlayStation 2, and loved it. Loved every minute of it. I loved getting to see how he recorded his stuff and how he reacted to mine. Like, I can't believe you scored that goal. That was insane. And we used to just have these long conversations about it. Like, I thought it was so much fun. But then as games got better and I went to college, I kept playing them. Like as Madden got better, as graphics got better, but I didn't have the same way to record them. And I couldn't share the games I was playing beyond the people that lived in my frat house with me. So after college, I gave up on games for a while. It was part of me trying to like rehabilitate myself as a human. I didn't want to play video games. I didn't want to use these things anymore that I used to escape from responsibility in the past. So I don't remember why I started playing again. It was Minecraft, and like I said, I just bought it on a whim. I can't remember where I even saw it, but it's right around the time I discovered Paul Sawyers Jr. on YouTube and his Minecraft tutorials, and I just kind of fell in love with it all. My computer could handle it. I could play it well. I saw Jevin's video right after that because I was looking up more Minecraft tips, and he was one of my favorite guys at the time. So I started kind of putting things together in my head, and by February of last year, 2013, almost a year ago, I made my YouTube channel page. I made RauschGames. I got my separate Gmail account for it. It's away from my personal account. I didn't want any of my real life friends to know what I was doing. I made a separate Twitter for it because I was part of the old Machinima Palooza wrestling forum for discussion and stuff, and I wanted a Twitter to go along with that wasn't part of my everyday life. And I just kind of started creating this alter ego that would eventually become the RauschGames channel. And I put it there. I was approved for AdSense. I put like my little face thing as my profile picture, and that was it. I walked away from it. By May, I had put enough of my small change away, like saved up enough money that I could afford Game Dev Tycoon based on, I think it was Sips who I was watching at the time that was doing a playthrough of it that I thought was really funny, and I thought it would be a lot of fun. And it was a nice cheap indie game. I bought that. And I bought the app that I used to record on my computer called ScreenFlow, which cost about $150. And I decided to get going. I started recording Game Dev Tycoon. I started recording The Sims. I did that until about July, I think it was. And I had WWE 13 at home, and I'd been playing my Universe mode since like Christmas that year. That's when I bought my first piece of crap PVR and started recording WWE 13 and putting it up on YouTube. And then we kind of just get to where we are today. You guys know about the break I had when I moved and all that stuff, but that's been me this whole time. So while money is the reason that I initially researched this idea and got into it, and it's still a big part of the reason that I'm doing it, it's not my main motivation. Mainly because I haven't seen a penny since I started in May. Not even a single cent. since it's not my main source of income, like I do have a 40-hour week job that I'll be going to later, I don't have to treat it like it's a job. I don't have to make it all about money. I don't have to set up donation links. I don't have to set up definite schedules. I don't have to kill myself to get these videos up. I don't have to harm my relationship with my lovely, beautiful, intelligent girlfriend to get these things up to you. I can just get them up because they feel right. I can get them up because it's fun for me to do, and I can get them up because it's fun for you to watch, and I'm not trying to pick you guys up by your ankles and shake all the pennies out. Like, that's not what this is about for me. I would love it if this could become a supplemental source of income to help me go back to school, hence my partnering with N4G TV recently and all that stuff. But I'm not going to compromise my own principles to do so. So you guys never have to worry about that. We're not donating. Unless there's like a separate charitable cause that I think you guys should be giving money to, we're not donating. And you guys are never going to pay me for anything directly. I did not get to YouTube for that. I got to YouTube because I want to create a separate income on ad revenue, which is, you guys don't have to pay me a cent. You just got to watch videos. And I want to go back to school. And I want to be a real person. I want to be a teacher, and I want to finish my novel, and I want to move around the country with my girlfriend, and I want to have children and raise a family, and I want to do it all. And I think that YouTube is about to start really helping with that. I feel like I'm right on the edge. I feel like this 100th video, we're very close to a big breakthrough for my channel. I feel it. I just feel it. I'm not picking up a whole lot of subscribers recently, but my views are substantially higher than what they were 2 months ago. I'm partnered with a network that is really jumping up right now in terms of search relevance for videos that get posted on their forums and everything. And I don't know. It's exciting, and I hope you guys are ready for it. Now, I'm going to go and do something about my voice and go to the gym and then go to work. And I'm going to hope that you guys have a great day and that you are all still here when I'm up to 200 videos. All right. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for watching. Like this video, as it does indeed help, and subscribe if for whatever weird reason this emotional video is your first one on my channel. I hope you liked it. I hope you stick around for more cool stuff, because we got plenty of it coming up, and we have a nice long future here on RauschGames, guys. I appreciate every single one of you. I will see you next time. Bye.